Hello there and welcome again to the Impact Zone podcast. I am Adam and I am back to discuss more TNA wrestling shenanigans, and we are having a bit of a look at the update that they've finally got to about Against All Odds. I'm sure that they're going to do a whole lot more matches and promotions, so we'll be talking a fair bit about this. BTW, before I go too much further into discussing what's happening with TNA and whatnot, I do want to just sort of mention that I have been very busy just with life in general, but with a lot of things, so unfortunately I haven't really put many videos up of late, so I am sorry about that, guys, that I haven't put up as much content as what I was putting up before, but unfortunately I've been super busy, so I just haven't been able to get to doing anything of late, and I've just been, like absolutely hectic here. And life's just been a little bit rough at times for your boy, but don't worry too much. I am still here. I haven't floated off into the nether regions yet. They haven't got rid of me yet, so I'm still here to talk TNA wrestling shenanigans for now. But I do want to start looking at some things to figure out if there's another way to try to get some of these things together. But at this point, I don't really think that there is. So I'm going to have to say to you guys, I'm so sorry that we're not going to get like weekly uploads. And I'm not even going to be talking, well, I'm going to be talking somewhat about what happened this week in this preview of Against All Odds, but I'm only going to start covering the pay-per-views, or whatever people want to call these mini pay-per-views, or whatever you want to call them. I don't care. They're marketed as pay-per-views by Fight TV and several other sources. So if you want to debate that they're pay-per-views or whatever, or they're B pay-per-views, C pay-per-views, D pay-per-views, F pay-per-views, I don't give a shit, okay? Like, whatever you want to call them, you can call them bananas for all you want, all you guys want, or whoever wants to say, oh, whatever, all this crap about TNA and etc., when, whatever company that they watch just has exactly the same, or has had the exact same problems. So again, or PLE, whatever, I don't care. Whatever you want to call it, it's a show and you've got to pay to see it. And it's advertised as a pay-per-view. But anyway, we'll get along with the actual episode rather than mitigating in that. But I did want to just make a little bit of an announcement here somewhere. I know I should have probably put up a post about it as well, but like 2 people watch this channel and a dog, so whatever. If we get more viewers, I think I'll be a little bit more sad and whatnot. And I know that is partly my fault in some ways. I get that. But again, it's just one of those things, unfortunately. Life is life, and you got to live in your life. So we'll keep going along with what we're doing here for now and do our best with what we've got. So we have to continue on. So Against All Odds, it's coming, boy. Like, I think they've done way more promotion for Slammiversary, even though there's no matches announced. They've done way more promotion already for, like, Slammiversary than they've done for Against All Odds. But at this point now, they've probably started to do a little bit more for Against All Odds, because it is coming. It is in a couple of weeks. So we've got to get ready for it. It seemed like Hardy and Moose was kind of an obvious thing that they were going to build towards, probably at this point. Excuse me. But yeah, like this is great in many ways. I know, like, I watched it this week, this week's episode. Oops. And I'm sure you guys have watched this week's episode as well. Or if you haven't, hey, go and check that episode out. It wasn't the greatest episode ever, but it was still a really fun episode, I think. It had some nice little points in there that were quite fun. But anyway, whatever. Like I said, this seems like they were sort of building it towards this ever since Hardy sort of came back and whatnot. So, and it's fine. Like, I think we all know the outcome of this, and if you don't, or if you're thinking, well, Matt might have a chance, go back and watch this week's episode and just see how sort of gingerly he's moving around the ring and things like that. Like, I don't want to take anything away from him. Pro wrestling is a tough business, and it's tough to give up and whatnot. I understand that. Hey, I've been in that squirrel circle before. I haven't actually done very much out there, but I did train in wrestling, and I always have the urge to wrestle, no matter what. But even so, I know that I can't go either. So, but still, like, but Matt can still go to some extent, but it does seem that he's this is his last little run, I think. And that's fine. Like, if he wants to have one last good run or whatever, or one last run or whatever it is, that's perfectly fine. But I guess, realistically, how much of a run is it going to be? I think he was thinking I can get back to WWE. I honestly don't see that for him at this point. He could, I guess. So Hardy's a legend. We I was talking about the idea or the potential of the Hardys coming back for a tag team title match at Slammiversary, or maybe even Bound for Glory. I mean, Bound for Glory is a fair way away. I don't know, like I was sort of saying, I don't know that he's going to stick around for that long. And that's, if he's sticking around for a little while or whatever, or he's waiting for a WWE to call or whatever, AEW to call or whatever it is, that's up to him, dude. It's one of those things. I get that. It's fine to be like that. But when you're somewhere like TNA, it very much seems to me again, you should be, at least in my opinion, you should be looking to say, hey, even if you're here for a short period of time, hey, I'm here. I'll make what I have here the best it can be. And what should that be? What is, well, besides, I think, Jeff, what is, besides the broken character, those two, most known for, besides, Hardy winning a few, but a few world titles, Matt's 1, 2, and both of them, I don't know, I don't know, I don't want to say that they fell a little flat, but they were a little flat, to be honest, in many ways. I guess that was just TNA at the time, just due to a lot of issues. But I think that he should have just had his title run when he was broken, Matt Hardy. He should have had a title run at that time, because that was his best, gimmick. That was and that's the gimmick now. But all those years ago, that was when he was finally breaking out and finally sort of, being this thing, and they didn't really capitalize it onto making him the guy or whatever. And I get that could have been awkward with some of the other stuff that was kind of going on at the time, but in all honesty, again, it's well, you need to capitalize on something while it's hot. And yes, you can bring back Brother Nero at some point, obviously, so. And again, I guess it is one of those difficult situations. I know that Matt has had his issues and whatnot, but certainly Jeff's issues are much more regular or pronounced or well-known sort of thing. So I know that that's something that, and someone, saying, they gave him a chance, TNA back in, what was it, 05, was it, I think? Maybe 06? No, it must have been 04, I think. No, was it 05? I can't remember. Either way, back then, I think, I thought it was the first anniversary show, though. Oh, whatever. Anyway, still, Jeff Hardy got a chance in TNA. Yes, whatever, there were issues therein, but they gave him a big chance after he'd have had a fair few chances in WWE. And despite, WWE like saying, hey, you've got to clean it up or you're not coming back, after a few years of being in TNA and still having some issues, he came back after a while and, did some stuff for a few years and then had issues again, but then TNA gave him another chance, and then even on one of the most infamous pay-per-views, he turned up drunk or high or whatever, or some combination of that. But they still gave him another chance. And, it's like, well, how many chances does this guy get? Like, type thing at some point. But then after that, and he even had other issues after that, after he left TNA, which was many years later, they went to WWE. He had more issues after WWE, or while he was in WWE, I think, at that time. And then, they both went to AEW and both continued to have issues. So, but again, if they give another opportunity to Jeff, that's what I'm trying to say, is he, in some ways, he does definitely deserve that, or, in a sense, I guess more so I'm talking about the fans deserve it, And I know, as I sort of said, I think that they could get a TNA Hall of Fame induction, which I think is fine, because I think they've done quite a lot in TNA. I think, maybe they won't get it. Maybe they will, but maybe they won't. I don't know, because, again, besides the Team Extreme stuff, you could argue that the Broken stuff is their best stuff that they ever did, really. As far as reinventing themselves, it was the only other real gimmick that they ever really got, and it really was a great reinvention for them. So I think that does make sense, but obviously it's very easy to see them going into the WWE Hall of Fame at some point, and maybe that's in the cards for them in the future. And I just again, I guess my thing here is trying to define, or trying to rein in, or trying to see what there is in Hardy being if people were coming to this and thinking, oh, what if Matt wins, or whatever, or what are we gonna see if Matt wins? Literally nothing, dude. If people believe, and they have to believe to some extent, I get that. But if people really believe that Matt would be the one to dethrone Moose at this point in his title run, I just don't see that. I can see the fans getting behind Matt because they like him, and then it's the whole Broken thing is very over and whatnot. It's probably the most over he's ever been. So again, it's just one of those things that, what else are you going to do with him? You might as well try to do something with him. And again, I get it out. It's very hard to watch more than what more than what has already been, because you want to see this guy be his best. But if this is his last few cycles throughout, you have to kind of go, man, he has slowed down, but this guy, he's putting everything out there, and he does everything, at his best that he can do. And actually that table spot that he did a few on the pay-per-view, was it on the pay-per-view? No, it was on the TV last week. Was that? Yeah, whatever. Anyway, I'm losing track of what's happening because, again, like, there's just so much going on. So, like I say, but still, yeah, like, if you're going to say, well, this is it, this is, like, how it ends, I don't want to say it like, this is his dead, but whatever. This is, like, his last run, the Hardys' last run. They're building up to something in WWE, potentially. Who knows? I don't know. Like, again, like, what are they going to do in WWE? Like, they had a run in WWE, and that kind of felt like their last run that they were going to have. They're not going to be tag team champions. So their last run has to be to put young guys over. Or at least some other guys over so that, again, their reputation is built bigger because they beat the Hardys. The best, in theory, the best tag team or one of the best tag teams ever. So if they do that here, which I would hope for at Slammiversary against the System, that would be great. And that would be a good bookend to their TNA run, and it would give them the chance to go to WWE and see what comes of it or whatever. And if they do come in, like, if I keep saying if, it's a big if, or whatever, we don't know. Jeff could just go to WWE, he could just retire, he could just be on drugs for, like, we don't know what the situation's going to be. But obviously, again, like I sort of was saying, TNA has given him chances throughout history. It wouldn't surprise me if they gave him another opportunity. It wouldn't surprise me if they're talking, blah, blah, blah. So obviously the potential is there on that side. I'm sure that, it's got to be a handful of appearances, probably a month, maybe, or something like that. That seems fine. And if this, again, I do hate it when matches end in shenanigans sometimes, especially when it's on a pay-per-view, because, again, people pay to see it, and when you're, like, you can get away with stuff so much easier on free TV because it's for free. Like, people don't have to pay for it, so they don't feel as slighted by something that happens on TV, being shenanigans or whatever, because it's like, that's just free TV. It's just part of the build and the story and the, the whole thing of getting to the pay-per-view and actually seeing, the payoff. And I get that they've got to kind of do that when you, trying to protect people and whatnot and their aura and whatnot, but it's still, a loss is a loss a lot of the time. So, fans remember losses more than, anything else in a lot of ways. But yeah, I just don't see, after all that, I just don't see, like, Matt winning this, like, and I don't see any potential for him to do much in a match with Moose. I think Moose would have to really dictate, a match between these two, given how limited Hardy kind of is. Hardy can, sort of sell and, do his thing and whatnot, and that's fine. And he can still do some stuff, but again, like, you're still, like, looking at somebody who's going to, and that does work for their match, but again, it does, make you just look at it and go, well, yeah, obviously this person isn't going to win, and it's just not the right time again, so it just makes no sense. So yeah, I think the nail in the head there is that, because it's like what you think about WWE. Nothing major realistically happens on, well, sometimes it does, but not a lot. Like, major title changes, and they're trying to build this as a major title change, defeating Moose, defeating the System, etc., blah, blah, blah. That wouldn't happen on just one of these other pay-per-views like this, and it's just the wrong opponent and the wrong story and not enough build and all that sort of stuff for it to really. I think, like, again, I've sort of said who I think it's going to be here and there, so I'm going to leave that, but I don't know when it's going to happen, so I'm just going to wait, and they actually teased it in this week's episode, so that does give me a little bit of interest to see that it's maybe happening even this year. Who knows? Don't even know, but we'll wait and see. Up next, Mustafa Ali versus Trent Seven for the X Division title. I'm going to say a whole lot of the same sort of thing here, for the most part, except for, like, Trent being old, I guess. But he is somewhat older, I guess. But it's certainly there's just not nearly enough story, unless they could build some more story, but I don't see that build. Like, again, same with Hardy and Moose. They could build more story, but again, I don't see that being enough story to warrant a title change or whatever. Same here. I just don't see them being able to build enough story or enough reason for a title change. Mustafa Ali's being a really good champion. And again, same thing. Like, they're trying to build that title up to, you know, having, again, the title changes only being on more major shows, or at least pay-per-views or whatever, so that, you know, people get the bang for their buck. And, you know, it's very strange in TNA right now, like, to have, like, so many heel champions. But it, like, that's kind of like, again, like the bread and butter of wrestling in a lot of ways. So that it's fine for that to be, and it actually reminds me, like, of the some of the early NWA days where, like, you could obviously point to, like, the Four Horsemen or whatever era. But you had your good baby faces and whatnot, Dusty, Tully Blanche, Magnum TA, you know, guys like that, whatever, the Road Warriors. So, yeah. But I think it kind of set something up more so for Bayley and Ali. So that could probably, potentially, maybe be happening at Slammiversary. I don't know, maybe. I don't even think this will be, like, all that. But then again, could be wrong. I think the main reason I didn't love Bayley versus Seven was because it was, like, babyface versus babyface, and it just sort of didn't really do what I felt like it should do for either guy. Yeah, so I don't know, but, like, I've already sort of said who I would think it is. Like, there's always potential for it to change and evolve, so I don't know. There's lots of potential. I was thinking about Leon Slater too. Like, he's just sort of joined the roster, and I kind of want to see more from him too, and that sort of thing. So I was actually, like, really thinking about Jake something and Alex Hammerstone, like, forming a weird tag team of some sort. I thought that would kind of be interesting or kind of funny or kind of cool. So but I don't know, like, that would be kind of cool, but still, we'll wait and see if it happens. Like, I know they're having a match, I think next week, maybe, though it isn't actually advertised right now. But we know it happened, so maybe it's the week after. I don't know. We'll continue to wait and see. But again, I just don't see anything happening here. And I'm going to say about the same thing about the World Tag Team titles. I suppose, like, yeah, I don't really see much happening here. Like, I don't see Nick Nemeth and Ryan Nemeth winning these titles. Like, actually, I want to say this stuff about Ryan Nemeth first. To me, like, it felt like when he came in, and debuted, he really wasn't quite ready for this. Like, as far as like what he did and how he expressed himself on TV and whatnot, that sort of thing. Like, especially when he was like backstage with his brother, having been injured and whatnot. Like that was like time where you should be like, sort of like worried and being, like all of this, like, tell me he's gonna be okay, Doc, or whatever, and things like that or whatnot. Like, yet he's just kind of standing there and going, oh yeah, I'm here. Da-da. Like, so I think he's like, I don't know how long he's been wrestling or whatever, but like he was showing some stuff. He was like, kind of like, I don't know, like, I guess, but still, like, like you really need to wear your heart on your sleeve and whatnot. And I know, like, the Speedball Mountain was there, and they were kind of like, like, I hope he's all right. Oh, I hope he's all right. Yeah, but they didn't really like put it too over either. So again, like, everyone needs to seem to make it real or as real as possible. And I guess, like, yeah, he hasn't had enough experience specifically with TV sort of stuff. Like, I know he's been on New Japan, but whatever. Like, I don't think that they really will tell you how to, like, project this sort of thing in New Japan. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But still, I think here, in the last couple of weeks, like, he's actually shown a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more each time. Like, I think he's a decent wrestler. I don't think he's the greatest wrestler. I think he's, still developing his wrestling skills, but he's definitely a decent wrestler and, all of that sort of stuff. So, no, slouch on him for that. And it's nice, again, that they've, brought him in and given him a chance. Like, they've given a lot of people chances. But they've also not just given him a chance, they've actually been working with him and saying, hey, you could do this better and you could do that better and you and you should try to do it like this. What, like, be a bit more, over, like, and make it real. You need to make it real in your own mind, when the light's on, so that, that sort of can translate, to the audience, and whatnot. So, but again, yeah, I think he's developed a lot more, with some of the stuff that he's been doing, in his own character work and his expressiveness and whatnot. So that's good. Like, and I hope that it keeps up, because again, you look at every single performer that people enjoy or think is good or whatever, and they've got that down to a T. Like Nick Nemeth, he's like the best seller probably in the world, and it's like, yeah, still, like, you don't have to be the, like, literally, like, number one, but you have to make it look real. Like, you have to make it look real. You have to show real concern, or you have to, and he's been doing that more and more, showing, like, little moments or whatever that, make it feel real, and not just like, yeah, you, like, some of the stuff feels like it's a heel move, like blowing kisses or whatever. Almost feels like a heel move, but whatever. They're pretty arrogant guys, and I get that. That's fine. So not everyone has to be, like, I keep saying this, not everyone has to be the squeaky clean babyface. And I think that's good. And in fact, I think that you shouldn't be as squeaky clean as of a babyface. I think it's more interesting if you are a character that has layers, but yeah, I don't want to knock the guy, certainly, or anything like that. I just want to point it out to say, hey, I didn't think he was quite there, at the start, but, like, he's really developed some things, and I think that's kudos to him and kudos to the locker room and everything else, taking the time and saying, hey, do this, look like this, pull this, like, working with him and whatnot. Same thing with, like, matches, like, this is how, timing, psychology, blah, blah, blah. especially for a TV audience that really expects like a lot. Like the episode tonight wasn't like the best. Like I say, like fans like expect a lot, and it's tough to meet those expectations sometimes as well, because again, there's just so much that fans again expect. So it's like, well, what are you gonna do sometimes, because it is what it is. So, but still, yeah, yeah. I don't see the Nemeths winning these titles. At least right now. They could do something. They could win these titles, I guess. Maybe. But actually, I guess that's good if they were to win these titles. That would be kind of interesting in some ways. I think that's a more interesting story. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But I think it's a more... I don't think it is that fitting of an end, but it's not the end per se. But like, I feel like Nick Nemeth should be like pulling his most heel self and being like, it should have been me, it should have been me, you know, like that. Like, I feel like this is like the big story that I kind of want to see, as I've talked about it here and there, is that Joe Hendry is like the most over person right now in TNA. And they've been giving him little things and little segment. They just gave him a segment this week where, you know, and they gave him a segment last week, you know, where he won the 8-man tag match, the 16-man tag, whatever, or the 16-person tag. And then they gave him this promo backstage against the system. You know, I think that he's like the future guy, or one of the future guys in the company. And I almost feel like it should be a triple threat. Almost feel like that would work way better. But I don't know. It feels a little slight or slighted, or maybe even like a 4-way or 5-way. It doesn't really matter that much. But that's where I feel like you can turn Nemeth heel, or start turning him heel, potentially. Like you could keep him babyface if you really want. I don't really see like that being that great of a direction. Like, it could be good and whatnot, but I feel like, I don't know. Again, you start questioning it. You start going, well, why? Like, you're not just going to put Nick Nemeth on top for no reason. Like, if you're going to beat Joe Hendry, or like, this is where I'm thinking. Joe Hendry beats Muth at some point. Maybe in a fatal 4-way, fatal 5-way, or triple threat of some sort. And Nemeth's involved in that match. And Nemeth is like maybe fingertips away from pinning Moose, or whatever. He just hit the zigzag or something else, or some other move, and then Joe Hendry hits his move and rolls Nemeth out of the ring or something, and then covers Moose for the pin and wins the title. And then, you know, you start like this whole thing of Nemeth, you know, again, it should have been me, you know. Because I think that would be great. I think it would be really good, you know, like you do some stuff that's sort of a very slow burn, that sort of, you know, gets to the point of Nemeth versus Hendry. And I don't know if you put the title on Nemeth. I don't know. Maybe you should at that point. I don't know. It's really tough. But again, like, you're not just, if you do that, you're not just putting the title on Nemeth to put the title on Nemeth. You're putting the title on Nemeth because you're trying to tell some other narrative of some sort. Or you're trying to, you know, direct things in some, you know, some way that makes sense. So, But Nemeth's story is always there, that he never was able to beat the system or whatever, I guess. So it's really tough to sort of slate that to one side, because that has been, the way that it's been going. So it's tough to figure out, like what's next for him, or, what's he going to do when he loses. And the thing is, like, maybe that's it. Like, maybe he won't. Maybe he's just, maybe he's just gonna, like, I don't know, be here to not kind of, but effectively job to superstars again, which sucks in some ways, but again, like, at some point you've got to realize that your time has been and passed. Like, and it's sad if you don't culminate a story as well for the fans, but like, I think that the fans, they're very aware of everything in wrestling, and they know everything in wrestling, and this is a good redemption story in some ways, but does it need to be told? I don't know. Again, like, I always think that, again, you should prioritize whoever gets over naturally, and try to figure out how you're going to do that. Because again, Nick Nemeth, he's already made his name. You can't really make his name much bigger or better or whatever else, because it's already been done. So there's no real point in, like, trying to build him up like that. Like, you should try to, yes, you have to build him up so that you can build other people up from him. But yeah, again, that's where I'm thinking, like, he should be a heel so that you can use him as a springboard for other people to kind of get over, or try to get, their vengeance or their story, or try to get this guy that's now, become the very thing that he hated, when he was trying to get up past the glass ceiling. Now he's the guy that's, holding everyone down underneath his own glass ceiling and whatnot. So yeah, I don't know. That's just me. That's my, like, thing of it. It always is one of those things that tends to happen, but still, I think it would be one of those things that would work well and would give, a lot of young guys in TNA a good chance to get, that pitch at being one of the top, ex-WWE guys that they can get their hands on for now. So, yes, it's a waste in a sense of Nemeth if he doesn't win the title. But again, like, if he wins it as a heel, I think it's way better. And then you can tell a better story, I think, of redemption and whatnot, of somebody else finally overcoming Nemeth and finally breaking through that glass ceiling that he's put under everyone else after, years of being told he couldn't get through that glass ceiling. So, so yeah, I don't know. But that's where I'm at with that, and that's where I'm at with this match. I'm just not seeing, like, all these matches, I'm just not really seeing anything really changing. There's no real point in changing things. The one potential match, I guess, that I could see coming right now is Allison Kay versus Jordynne Grace, though I don't know about that. Feels to me like, again, I don't know. It feels to me, again, like you should think about why you're doing that. And then if it's filler or whatever, that's fine. But you shouldn't just have filler. Like, and where the heck's going to go after that? And, like, I hope they're sticking around, because the women's tag team division really needs more tag teams. Especially since Havoc apparently is, like, gone for a little while or whatever it is, and Rosemary's trying to strike it out on her own or whatever it is, and all this stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. It's really, really tough to, like, button it down and say, well, is that the right move? like they probably should just be like Marty Bell and Alison Kay, or AKA the Hex, should just potentially be going after the women's tag team titles. But then again, they're heels, so it doesn't really make any sense since the champions are heels in some ways. But again, I guess there's not that many great babyface teams for them to go against other than Spitfire. So it's just like, right, okay. Unless you're going to bring in like jobber teams, and that's just like, well, there's nothing there because they're jobbers effectively, so, or they're in the role of a jobber, so it is what it is. I don't know how many more of these I'm going to have to do as far as building for Against All Odds, but at least we're going to have to do one more, I'm sure. Maybe two more, maybe three, I don't know, but we'll wait and see. And I will get to doing them as best as what I can as they come up. As I said, like, this one has come out pretty late as well from the announcements, but hey, life is life again, and you got to work, buddy. You got to do what you got to do when the dog's got to go out or whatever, and that sort of thing. The dog's got to go out. When you got to go to work, you got to go to work. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this one way or the other. And if you have, I hope that you will join me yet again in another one.